She was a thread in the vibrant tapestry of Kumasi, a simple girl named Aisha, with hands skilled in weaving dreams but a life woven with hardship. She possessed nothing but an unbreakable spirit and a heart full of kindness. One sweltering morning in the bustling Kijisha market, she offered a helping hand to an elderly woman, a stranger. But this was no ordinary encounter. That woman carried a secret, a life-altering truth hidden beneath her humble attire. Who was this mysterious elder, and what did she see in a poor weaver girl that the world had overlooked? Prepare yourselves, for this is a story that will touch your soul, a story of unexpected turns, hidden identities, and the incredible power of a single selfless act. The heart of Kumasi, Ghana, beat with a rhythm all its own, and nowhere was this pulse more alive than in Kijisha Market. It was a sprawling labyrinth of sights, sounds, and smells, a vibrant chaos where thousands of souls bartered, traded, and sought their daily bread. Among them was Aisha. Her small stall, tucked away in a less crowded aisle, displayed a modest collection of hand-woven Kent bookmarks, small bags, and fabric swatches. Each piece was a testament to her skill, her passion, a silent whisper of the grand design she held locked within her heart. Aisha was barely 20, yet her eyes held a wisdom that spoke of trials endured. Orphaned as a child after a tragic road accident claimed her parents, she had been passed from one distant relative to another, none willing or able to bear the burden of an extra mouth for long. Her dream of attending the prestigious fashion school in Accra had dissolved like morning mist when the last of her parents' meager savings ran out. Now, Kijisha Market was her school, her workshop, and her battleground for survival. She lived in a cramped, single room in a bustling compound in Asafo, a neighborhood that hummed with life but offered little comfort. The corrugated iron roof leaked during the rainy season, and the thin walls offered scant privacy. Yet every morning Aisha would rise before the call to prayer, sweep her small space, share a portion of her morning cocoa, porridge, with the children next door and make her way to the market. Her smile, though sometimes tinged with weariness, was genuine. It was a shield against the harshness of her reality and a beacon of her resilient spirit. It was only her 5th month renting the small market stall. The daily sales were barely enough to cover the rent and her meager living expenses. Inside her, a quiet storm of worry often raged. How long could she sustain this? Would she ever save enough to buy more yarn, better looms, or perhaps one day return to her studies? Aisha, my dear, you are quiet today, Mama Yasai, the elderly woman selling beads next to her, remarked one morning. Mama Yasai had a kind face, etched with the lines of a long life, and she had taken a maternal liking to Aisha. Aisha forced a brighter smile. Just thinking, Mama Yasai. Thinking about new patterns. It was a half-truth. She was always thinking about patterns, but today the weight of unpaid bills and the fading hope of her dream felt heavier. No one at the market, not even Mama Yasai, knew the depth of her ambition or the pain of her deferred dream. They saw a hard-working, respectful young woman. They didn't see the nights she spent sketching designs by the dim light of a kerosene lamp, her fingers itching to bring them to life on a grander scale. They didn't hear her silent prayers for a breakthrough, a sign, anything to change the trajectory of her life. But Aisha kept her burdens to herself. In a place like Kijisha, everyone carried their own. Mr. Kwame Asante sat in his expansive office overlooking the modern skyline of Kumasi. The room was a blend of contemporary design and rich Ashanti heritage, much like the man himself. He was the CEO of Asante Textiles and Exports, a company his late father, Nana Barima Asante, had built from a single Kent weaving shed into a national powerhouse. Kwame was young, brilliant, and a billionaire, but he carried his success with a quiet humility instilled by his father. Never let the wealth define you, my son, Nana Barima had often said. True wealth is in your character and how you treat others. Keep your life grounded, for the tallest tree still needs strong roots. Kwame had taken those words to heart. He dressed impeccably but without ostentation, drove a modest car by billionaire standards, and kept his private life fiercely guarded. To the public he was a respected business leader, but few knew the man behind the title. He was wary, always questioning people's motives, a defense mechanism honed after years of seeing how wealth could attract insincerity. His mother, Mama Adwoa Asante, was the matriarch of the family, a woman of immense grace and wisdom, deeply respected in their community. In her late 60s, she possessed a quiet strength that had seen her through the loss of her beloved husband and the challenges of raising a son in the public eye. She lived with Kwame in their serene family estate in a leafy suburb of Kumasi, a haven of peace away from the city's bustle. One evening, Mama Adwoa sat in the lush garden, sipping her favorite herbal tea. Kwame joined her, a slight frown creasing his brow. "Good evening, Mama." She smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Kwame, my son. Sit. We need to discuss something important." Kwame sat, a familiar sense of anticipation mixed with affection washing over him. These talks with his mother were often profound. "You are always engrossed in work, my son," she began gently. "Asante Textiles thrives under your leadership, and your father would be immensely proud. But what of your own life, Kwame? When will you find a good woman, a kind soul I can call daughter, to share this journey with you?" Kwame sighed softly. "Mama, you know it's not easy. How do I find someone genuine, someone who sees Kwame, not just the CEO of Asante Textiles?" This was a recurring concern, a deep-seated fear. Mama Adwoa reached for his hand. "I understand your apprehension, my son, but you are no longer a boy. I yearn to see you truly happy, to hold my grandchildren, to know our family's legacy of kindness will continue. All I ask is that you look for a woman with a good heart. Character, Kwame. That is what endures." Kwame nodded, the weight of her words settling in his heart. "I promise, Mama. I'm trying. I need to be sure." He smiled, but the worry lingered. How would he ever know who was real? It was a blistering hot afternoon in Kijisha Market. The air was thick with the scent of spices, dust, and humanity. Mama Adwoa, dressed in a simple, elegant traditional print dress and a headscarf that concealed most of her silver hair, moved through the crowded aisles. She had decided on a whim to personally select some rare antique Kent cloth for an upcoming family ceremony. Her usual driver and aide were attending to another matter, and she enjoyed these occasional anonymous excursions, feeling the pulse of her city. She found a stall piled high with vibrant Kent, manned by a loud, brash young man. After careful inspection, she selected a beautiful, intricately woven piece, its patterns telling an ancient story. "How much for this, my son?" she asked, her voice calm and gentle. The vendor, sizing her up, quoted an exorbitant price, far above its actual worth. Mama Adwoa, an astute judge of textiles, knew this. "That seems rather high," she countered politely. "Could you reconsider?" The vendor scoffed. "Madam, this is quality. If you can't afford it, perhaps you should look elsewhere. Don't waste my time." His voice was unnecessarily loud, drawing curious glances from nearby shoppers and vendors. Mama Adwoa felt a flush of indignation but maintained her composure. She reached into her purse, only to realize with a start that she had miscalculated the cash she brought, assuming she'd use her card, which this particular vendor didn't accept. She was short by a noticeable amount. "Oh dear," she murmured, flustered. "It seems I haven't enough cash on me right now. I am so sorry to have inconvenienced you." The vendor threw his hands up dramatically. "Ah, just as I thought. Window shopping and wasting precious time. Madam, please move aside if you are not buying." The whisper started. People stared, some with pity, others with amusement. Mama Adwoa's cheeks burned. Her hands, usually so steady, trembled slightly. She, who was accustomed to respect and deference, felt utterly humiliated. Aisha, at her nearby stall, had heard the raised voice and sensed the distress. Her heart clenched. She couldn't bear to see an elder treated with such disrespect. Leaving her own stall unattended for a moment, she walked quickly to the scene. She saw the elderly woman, her face a mask of quiet distress, and the sneering vendor. "Excuse me," Aisha said, her voice clear but gentle, stepping between the vendor and Mama Adwoa. "What is the problem here?" The vendor rolled his eyes. "This old woman wants a king's cloth with a beggar's purse. She has no money." Aisha turned to Mama Adwoa. "Mama, is this true?" she asked softly, her eyes full of concern. Mama Adwoa nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, my dear. I miscalculated. I truly wanted this piece, but I am short." Aisha looked at the Kent cloth. It was indeed a magnificent older piece. Then she looked at the vendor. "How much is she short?" The vendor named the amount. It was more than Aisha made in several days. Without a second thought, Aisha reached into the small pouch tied around her waist. She pulled out her carefully saved notes, money she had been setting aside for a new batch of expensive silk yarn. "Here," she said to the vendor, handing him the money. "This should cover it. Please wrap the cloth for Mama." The vendor's jaw dropped. Mama Adwoa looked at Aisha, stunned into silence. The onlookers murmured in surprise. Your own money? For a stranger?" The vendor stammered. "Yes," Aisha said firmly. "It's a beautiful piece and Mama desires it. It won't break me." She turned to Mama Adwoa with a warm smile. "Mama, please accept it. Consider it a gift from a daughter." She then helped Mama Adwoa carefully take the packaged kent. "Get home safely, Mama." As Aisha turned to go back to her stall, Mama Adwoa found her voice, a slight tremor still in it. "My child," she called out softly. "Please wait." Aisha turned back. "Yes, Mama?" Mama Adwoa looked deep into Aisha's eyes. "You didn't have to do that. You don't know me. Why?" Aisha smiled, a genuine heartfelt smile that lit up her face. "Because you needed help, Mama. And because respect for our elders is important. That's all." Mama Adwoa nodded slowly, a thoughtful expression on her face. "What is your name, my child?" "Aisha," she replied. "Aisha," Mama Adwoa repeated, the name settling in her mind like a precious stone. A beautiful name for a beautiful heart. She placed a gentle hand on Aisha's arm. "May the heavens bless you abundantly, Aisha. I will not forget this. I will never forget this." Holding the kent cloth close, Mama Adwoa walked away, but the look on her face was transformed. The earlier distress was replaced by a profound sense of wonder and a warm, spreading gratitude. Aisha watched her go, a strange feeling in her chest. Something about that elderly woman felt different. She sighed, thinking of her depleted savings, but then a small smile touched her lips. She had done the right thing. That at least felt good. Mama Adwoa returned to the Asante estate, the kent cloth clutched in her hand like a treasure. Her usual calm demeanor was replaced by a quiet agitation, her eyes shining with an unusual light. Kwame was in his study when she entered, not waiting to be announced. "Kwame, you will not believe what happened to me today," she began, her voice still carrying a hint of the day's emotional roller coaster. Kwame looked up, concerned by her tone. "Mama? Are you all right? You look different." She sat down, placing the kent on the polished mahogany table. She recounted the entire incident at Kijisha Market. Her desire for the cloth, the vendor's rudeness, her shortage of cash, the public humiliation, and then, like an angel, Aisha's intervention. As she spoke of the vendor's disrespect, Kwame's face hardened. His jaw tightened. "Which stall, Mama? How dare anyone treat you like that? In a market in Kumasi, the heart of our kingdom." His protective instincts flared. Asante Textiles had significant influence, and he could easily ensure that vendor faced consequences. Mama Adwoa placed a calming hand on his arm. "Kwame, listen. Yes, I was hurt, deeply humiliated. But that is not the most important part of the story. The anger I felt is overshadowed by something far greater." Her eyes softened. "This young girl, Aisha, she stepped forward when everyone else just watched. She defended me. She paid for this expensive cloth from her own pocket, money she clearly could not easily spare. She didn't know who I was, Kwame. She expected nothing in return." Kwame's anger slowly subsided, replaced by a profound curiosity. "She paid for it? From her own salary?" "Yes," Mama Adwoa said, a proud smile gracing her lips. "She called herself my daughter. So simple, so dignified, so incredibly kind. Her name is Aisha." Kwame leaned back, his mind racing. He had encountered many people who feigned kindness, hoping for favor. But this was different. An act of pure, unadulterated altruism. "Mama, how can someone insult you, the mother of Kwame Asante, in a company I could buy and sell 10 times over?" he said, the indignation returning, though tempered now. "Felix, that is not the point." Mama Adwoa corrected him gently, using his childhood name, a sign of her earnestness. "Yes, I was upset. But out of that ugliness came something beautiful. That girl Aisha. She restored my faith in the goodness of people today. People like her, Kwame, they are rare gems. Rarer than any Kent." Kwame listened intently. His mother was not one for dramatics. If she was this moved, this girl must be truly special. I want to see her again, Mama Adwoa said softly. I want to thank her properly. More than that, I want to do something for her. A heart like that deserves to be nurtured. Kwame nodded slowly, a plan already forming in his mind. You will see her again, Mama. I promise you that. He paused, a steely glint in his eyes. And the vendor who insulted you, he will learn a lesson in respect. But I will handle that discreetly. No one disrespects my mother and gets away with it. Not while I breathe. Mama Adwoa looked at him with gentle eyes. Do not let anger guide you too much, my son. Focus on the good that came from this. Focus on Aisha. Silence filled the room, thick with unspoken emotions. Kwame's mind was a whirlwind. He needed to know more about this girl, Aisha. A plan indeed had begun. Later that evening, Kwame sat alone in his home office, the city lights twinkling below. He picked up his phone and made a call to Kofi Badu, his head of security and a man he trusted implicitly. Kofi was not just a guard. He was discreet, resourceful, and fiercely loyal. Kofi, I have a task for you. It requires utmost discretion, Kwame said, his voice low and firm. Yes, Mr. Asante. How can I assist? Kofi's voice was calm, professional. There is a young woman named Aisha. She has a stall, likely selling crafts or textiles in Kijisha Market. She helped my mother today. I need you to find out everything you can about her. Her background, her living situation, her character. Everything. But Kofi, she must not know she's being observed. Be invisible. Kwame provided the few details his mother had given him. Understood, sir. I will begin at first light. The next morning, Kofi, dressed in plain clothes that blended seamlessly with the market crowd, began his quiet investigation. He easily located Aisha's small stall. He watched her for hours from a distance. He saw her gentle interactions with customers, the shared smile with Mama ESI, the way she carefully arranged her woven items. He saw her buy a small portion of wache for lunch and share half of it with a beggar child who wandered by. Over the next 2 days, Kofi discreetly spoke to other vendors near Aisha. He asked casual questions, pretending to be a potential supplier or a distant relative looking for someone. Aisha? Ah, the quiet one vendor said. Good girl. Works hard. Always respectful. Mama ESI, when approached, spoke warmly. Aisha is like a daughter to me. She has faced much hardship, losing her parents so young. But her spirit, it is strong. And her heart is pure gold. She dreams of being a designer, you know? Such talent in those hands. Kofi also traced Aisha's route home to the Asafo compound. He saw the poverty of her surroundings, a stark contrast to the richness of her character that was becoming apparent. He compiled his findings into a concise report. When Kofi presented the report to Kwame, he summarized, Sir, her name is Aisha Kaikai. Orphaned. Dropped out of fashion school due to lack of funds. Lives alone in a single room in Asafo. Works tirelessly at her stall, barely making ends meet. No debts, no trouble, no vices. Highly regarded by those who know her for her kindness and integrity. She is, as you suspected, a rare find. Kwame read the report, then read it again. Each word painted a picture of resilience against a backdrop of profound loss and struggle. Asterisk, lost both parents, still smiles, dreams of being a designer, shares her food even when she has little. Asterisk. His own life, despite the loss of his father, had been one of privilege and comfort. He had grieved, yes, but he had never known true lack, true desperation. Yet this young woman, who had lost everything and faced daily hardship, had shown his mother such unprompted, sacrificial kindness. Kwame stood and walked to the large window, gazing out at the sprawling city. She lost everything, he murmured to himself, and still she gives. How does one maintain such grace, such kindness, when life has been so cruel? He thought of his own father's teachings about character. This Aisha, she embodied it. For the first time since his mother had told him the story, Kwame wasn't thinking like a CEO seeking to right a wrong, or even just a son wanting to reward someone. He was thinking as a man who had just glimpsed a spirit far stronger, far purer, than he had encountered in a long time. She didn't ask for help, he mused, tapping the report. She gave help even when she had next to nothing. He rubbed his forehead, a serious, contemplative look on his face. Who are you, Aisha Kaikai? He whispered. And why do I feel this compelling need to understand more? A few days later, Aisha was packing up her stall at the end of another long day. Her feet ached and the sales had been slow. She was mentally calculating if she could afford a new set of brighter colored yarns when a familiar, gentle voice spoke her name. Aisha, my dear. Aisha turned, her eyes widening in surprise. It was the elderly woman from the market, the one she had helped. But today she looked different. She was still modestly dressed, but there was an undeniable aura of quiet elegance about her. And beside her stood a sleek, black car with a uniformed driver patiently waiting. Mama? Aisha exclaimed, a smile breaking out on her tired face. It's so good to see you again. Are you well? Mama Adwoa smiled warmly. I am very well, my child, thanks to you. I've been looking for you. I came by the market earlier, but you were busy with a customer. You were looking for me? Aisha asked, puzzled. Indeed. You showed me such kindness, Aisha. I couldn't stop thinking about you. Please, would you allow me to thank you properly? Come with me just for a short while. I would love to talk with you more. Mama Adwoa gestured towards the car. Aisha hesitated. Get into a stranger's fancy car? But then she looked into Mama Adwoa's eyes. They were kind, sincere, and held a warmth that felt safe. This was the woman who had called her daughter. Okay, Mama, Aisha said softly after a moment. Just for a little while. The car glided silently through the busy streets of Kumasi, leaving the chaotic energy of Kijisha and Asafo behind. Soon they were in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood, pulling up to a magnificent but tastefully designed house set amidst a lush, sprawling garden. Aisha had never seen a home so beautiful. It wasn't just large, it exuded an air of peaceful grandeur. Come, my dear, Mama Adwoa said gently, noticing Aisha's awestruck expression. Don't be nervous. Aisha followed her into a spacious living room, adorned with beautiful Ashanti art and comfortable, elegant furniture. The air smelled faintly of sandalwood and hibiscus. They sat on plush sofas and a house help quietly serve them cool fruit juice. Mama Adwoa looked at Aisha with warm, appreciative eyes. Aisha, she began, I wanted to tell you more about that day. I had gone to the market to buy a special kent for my family. Our usual family weaver is unwell and I needed something specific. I was flustered and then, to my embarrassment, I found I didn't have enough cash. She paused, her gaze soft. The way that vendor spoke to me, it was deeply shaming. In that moment, surrounded by strangers, I felt so alone, so vulnerable. Aisha listened, her heart going out to the older woman. She remembered the vendor's cruel words. Mama Adwoa reached out and took Aisha's hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. And then you came, my child. Like a ray of sunshine through dark clouds. You didn't question, you didn't judge. You just helped. With such grace and generosity. That act, Aisha, it wasn't small. To me, in that moment, it was everything. Aisha's eyes welled up slightly, but she smiled. Mama, honestly, I didn't do anything extraordinary. Anyone would have. Mama Adwoa shook her head firmly. No, my dear. Not anyone. Many would have walked by. Many did. But you have a special heart. A heart of pure gold. She squeezed Aisha's hand. That is why I brought you here. I want to show my gratitude. I want to do something for you. Aisha looked up, surprised. For me, Mama? But there's no need. Mama Adwoa smiled. She stood and walked to an antique wooden chest in the corner of the room. She opened it and took out a beautifully wrapped package in a small velvet box. She returned and sat beside Aisha. I know you didn't help me for any reward, Aisha, she said, her voice full of affection. But please, allow me to offer you this small token of my deepest appreciation. She handed Aisha the package. Aisha opened it slowly. Inside were several pieces of the most exquisite, high-quality silk and cotton yarns in vibrant colors she had only ever dreamed of affording. Her breath caught in her throat. Then Mama Adwoa opened the velvet box. Nestled inside was a delicate gold chain with a tiny, intricately carved Adinkra symbol, Gainayam, except God, signifying the supremacy of God. The yarns are for your beautiful weaving, Mama Adwoa said. And this chain, it was mine when I was a young woman. It's very precious to me, but I want you to have it. May it bring you protection and blessings. Tears now freely flowed down Aisha's cheeks. She looked at the luxurious yarns, the beautiful gold chain, and then at Mama Adwoa's kind face. Her heart was overwhelmed. But then, a quiet strength, the same that had guided her in the market, rose within her. She gently pushed the package and the box back towards Mama Adwoa. "Mama," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. They are too much. I cannot accept them. I helped you because it was the right thing to do, because my heart told me to. Not for gifts, no matter how beautiful." Mama Adwoa looked at her, surprised but also with a dawning understanding. "Are you sure, Aisha?" Aisha nodded, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "Yes, Mama. I have seen hard times, it's true. But my parents, they taught me the dignity of hard work. If I am to succeed, it must be through my own efforts. Your kindness in thinking of me is gift enough." A profound silence filled the room. Mama Adwoa held the gifts close to her chest, her eyes shining with unshed tears of her own. She was deeply, irrevocably touched. "You are truly different, Aisha Kai," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "Truly one of a kind." Aisha simply smiled, her spirit feeling lighter despite the refusal. Unseen by either of them, Kwame Asante had been standing quietly in the arched doorway leading to the garden. He had arrived home early and had overheard the entire exchange. He saw the expensive gifts offered, and he saw, with utter astonishment, Aisha's gentle but firm refusal. He heard her words about dignity and hard work. He stared at Aisha, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through him: respect, admiration, and something akin to disbelief. This girl, who lived in poverty, had just refused gifts that could have significantly eased her life. Slowly, deliberately, Kwame walked into the living room. Mama Adwoa turned, her face lighting up with a mixture of joy and surprise. "Oh, Kwame, my son. You are home early. Come and meet the remarkable young lady I told you about. This is Aisha." Aisha turned to see who had entered. Her eyes widened and her breath hitched. She recognized him instantly. Mr. Kwame Asante, the owner of the vast Asante Textiles empire. His face was often in the newspapers, at business forums, a titan of Ghanaian industry. The man whose fabrics she dreamed of one day working with. She scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding. "Good evening, sir," she managed, her voice barely a whisper, instinctively giving a small, respectful bow of her head. Kwame nodded, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. His eyes, however, were intensely focused on her. "Good evening, Aisha," he said, his voice calm and deep. "So, you are the angel who came to my mother's rescue at the market?" Aisha nodded, still flustered by his presence, by the sudden revelation of who Mama truly was. The kind elderly woman was the mother of one of the most powerful men in the country. "I watched you just now," Kwame continued, his gaze unwavering as he moved closer. "You refused my mother's gifts. The yarns, the gold. Why?" Aisha swallowed, trying to gather her composure. She looked from Kwame to Mama Adwoa, then back to Kwame. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet but firm. "Sir, as I told Mama Adwoa, I didn't help her for a reward. I helped because it was the right thing to do. That day I saw an elder in distress. I had the means, however small, to assist. That is all. Kindness should not have a price tag." Kwame stared at her for a long moment, searching her face. He saw no artifice, no hidden agenda, only sincerity. He nodded slowly. "I see," he said, his voice softer now. He gestured to the sofa. "Please sit." He then sat opposite them, his eyes still fixed on Aisha, a new, profound respect dawning within him. Mama Adwoa, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, looked at Aisha with even softer eyes. "But why, my dear, are you so determined to reject my gesture of thanks?" she asked again, her voice gentle. Aisha took a deep breath. She looked at Mama Adwoa, then at Kwame, and spoke from the depths of her heart. "Mama, Mr. Asante, I believe in earning my way. If I work with my own hands, if I build something through my own sweat and talent, then I will know its true worth. I will be proud of what I achieve, knowing it came from my own strength and God's blessing. Accepting such generous gifts, it would feel unearned." Kwame, who had been listening intently, leaned forward, a genuine smile now gracing his lips. "In that case, Aisha Kai," he said, his eyes twinkling with an idea, "perhaps I can offer you something you can earn. Something that aligns with your passion and your principles. I want to offer you a position." Aisha's eyes flew wide open. "A job, sir?" "Yes," Kwame continued, his voice resonating with purpose. I understand from my mother and from other inquiries that you have a talent for weaving and a dream of fashion design. Come work for Asante Textiles. Not as a cleaner or an attendant, but as an apprentice designer in our Kent Innovation Department. The position comes with a fair salary, access to our resources, and mentorship from our best designers. And, he added, seeing the flicker of doubt and hope in her eyes, we will also sponsor your formal education in fashion design at the best institution in Accra, should you wish to resume your studies. Aisha's mouth fell open. Her heart hammered against her ribs so hard she thought it might break free. An apprenticeship? At Asante Textiles? School fees paid? It was everything she had ever dared to dream of and more. Tears of disbelief and overwhelming gratitude welled in her eyes. A job, school? She whispered, her voice trembling. Kwame nodded. But then a shadow crossed Aisha's face. Her radiant smile faltered. She looked down at her hands. Mama Adwoa noticed immediately. Aisha, my child, what is it? You do not wish to work for my son. Aisha shook her head quickly. Oh no, Mama, it's not that at all. It's an incredible offer. More than I deserve. Her voice dropped. But sir, I didn't complete my initial vocational training. My grades were good, but I had to drop out. I don't have the certificates, the qualifications, for such a prestigious role. Kwame held up a hand. Aisha, qualifications on paper are one thing. Talent, passion, integrity, and a strong work ethic. Those are qualities I value far more. We saw your character in the market. We see your passion in the small pieces you create. Those are your qualifications. He smiled kindly. You will undergo an intensive training program with us before you officially start. And as for university, your admission will be based on a portfolio of your work and our recommendation. We will handle the details. You only need to bring your dedication and your dreams. Tears were now streaming down Aisha's face, but these were tears of pure, unadulterated joy. Yes, she choked out. Yes, sir. Yes, Mama. I want that. More than anything. She paused, then looked at them, her voice filled with a quiet wonder. But why? Why are you doing all of this for me? You barely know me. Kwame exchanged a look with his mother, then turned back to Aisha, his expression earnest. We may not have known you for long, Aisha, he said, but we saw what you did. You helped a stranger at great personal cost, expecting nothing. You refused substantial gifts out of principle. That kind of heart, that kind of integrity, is exceptionally rare. He paused, then a more serious look crossed his face. Aisha, I have a confession to make, he said calmly. Aisha looked at him, her expression questioning. After my mother told me about your kindness, I was deeply moved. But I am also a businessman, cautious by nature. I asked my head of security to make some discreet inquiries about you, to understand more about the person who had so impressed my mother, and to see how best we could genuinely help you without causing offense. He raised a hand slightly. Please understand it was not done with any ill intent, only to ensure our help would be appropriate and truly beneficial. Aisha said nothing, her gaze fixed on him as she listened. And when I read the report, Kwame continued, his voice softening with empathy, when I learned about the hardships you've endured, losing your parents, struggling to survive, yet never losing your kindness or your dreams, I was profoundly humbled. You, Aisha, stood by my mother on what could have been a terrible day for her, even when you knew nothing about her. Now let us stand by you and help you build the future you deserve. Aisha's chest felt tight with a whirlwind of emotions. She looked from Kwame's sincere face to Mama Adwoa's loving smile. She pressed her hand to her heart, nodding slowly as tears of gratitude flowed. Thank you, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Thank you, Mr. Asante. Thank you, Mama. You have given me back my dreams. Aisha walked into the modern air-conditioned offices of Asante Textiles every morning with a spring in her step and a smile that radiated pure joy. Her hands, once rough from menial labor, now deftly handled luxurious threads and sketched innovative Kent designs. As an apprentice designer, she was thriving. She absorbed information like a sponge, learned quickly from the senior designers, and brought a fresh, vibrant perspective to the traditional patterns. She meticulously organized her workspace, was always punctual, and her dedication was palpable. After her official work hours, she didn't go back to her small room in Asafo. Kwame had arranged for her to stay in a comfortable, secure staff apartment complex owned by the company. And in the evenings, instead of succumbing to exhaustion, she would open her new laptop, a gift from Kwame for her studies, and immerse herself in her online fashion design courses. She studied late into the night, her old dream now a tangible reality she pursued with fierce determination. Kwame at first was only aware of her diligence at work. But one day his driver, who sometimes picked Aisha up if she worked late on a special project, mentioned to him, "That Miss Aisha, sir, she is always with her books or her sketchpad. She studies very hard even after a long day. She hardly goes out unless it's for work or to buy art supplies." This piqued Kwame's curiosity further. He began to observe her more closely, not just as a boss but as a man intrigued. He noticed the way her eyes lit up when she talked about a new design concept, the quiet determination in her posture as she worked, the gentle way she interacted with even the most junior staff. He found himself making excuses to walk past the design studio, to stop by her desk and ask, "Aisha, how is that new pattern developing?" Sometimes, lost in thought, he'd ask her the same question twice in a day, much to her polite amusement. One late afternoon, after a particularly grueling board meeting, Kwame found himself lingering in his office. Aisha came in to deliver some final design proofs for his approval. As she turned to leave, he stopped her. "Aisha." She turned. "Yes, Mr. Asante?" He offered a small, tired smile. "May I ask you something a bit more personal?" She nodded, a little surprised. "Of course, sir." Kwame leaned back in his chair, his gaze thoughtful. "How do you do it? You've only been with Asante Textiles for a few months, yet you handle the pressure, the workload, the new concepts as if you've been doing this for years. And on top of that, your online studies. Where does your strength come from?" Aisha paused, considering his question. She walked back slowly and sat in the chair opposite his desk, a rare unprompted move. "Sir," she began, her voice soft but steady, "I suppose I had no choice but to become strong. After my parents passed, life became a constant struggle. I worked many small jobs, selling food, helping in shops, even cleaning houses when I first came to Kumasi. Every job, no matter how humble, taught me something. It taught me about people, about perseverance, about making the most of what little I had." Kwame listened intently, his earlier fatigue forgotten. She continued, "I watched people, I listened, I learned. And I promised myself, if I ever got a real chance, a chance to work in a place like this, a chance to pursue my passion, I would not waste it. I would give it everything I have. This opportunity you and Mama Adwoa gave me, it's more than a job, sir. It's a lifeline. It's my dream resurrected." Kwame looked at her, a profound admiration filling him. Her resilience was astounding. "Aisha," he said softly, his voice filled with a warmth that surprised even himself, "you're doing far more than just giving it your all. You are exceptional." Aisha blushed slightly and looked down, a shy smile playing on her lips. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me." Kwame smiled too, but deep down, a new awareness was dawning. This feeling he had when he was around her, this admiration, this pull, it was no longer just about her work ethic or her past kindness to his mother. Something was changing within him. Something significant. Mama Adwoa sat in her favorite armchair in the sun-drenched morning room, a half-finished piece of embroidery in her lap. The television played softly in the background, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She had observed her son, Kwame, closely in recent weeks. She noticed the subtle changes in him whenever Aisha's name was mentioned, or whenever Aisha herself visited the house, perhaps to drop off samples for Mama Adwoa or to consult with her on traditional designs. The moment Aisha stepped into a room, Kwame's entire demeanor would shift. His eyes would soften, his voice would lose its formal business edge, and a gentle smile would invariably appear, even if he tried to suppress it. Mama Adwoa had seen that particular look before. It was the same tender, captivated look her own husband, Nana Barima, used to give her in the early days of their courtship many years ago. That evening, after a quiet family dinner, Mama Adwoa walked to Kwame's private study. She knocked softly. "Kwame, may I come in?" "Of course, Mama." His voice came from within. She entered to find him at his desk, not working, but staring thoughtfully out the window. He looked up and smiled as she entered. "Mama, is everything all right?" She sat in the comfortable visitor's chair, her gaze loving but perceptive. "Kwame, my son," she began gently, I have been watching you, and I see things. Kwame didn't speak, but his expression became more attentive. He knew that tone in his mother's voice. I see the way your face lights up when Aisha is near, she continued, her voice soft. I see how you find reasons to be around her, how your conversations linger. I see how you look at her when you think no one is watching. Kwame looked down at his hands, a slow, almost shy smile spreading across his face. He made no attempt to deny it. You see clearly, Mama, he admitted quietly. I care for her. Very much. Mama Adwoa nodded slowly, a warm, knowing smile gracing her own lips. I knew it, she said, her voice filled with unconcealed happiness. And I am glad, Kwame. So very glad. Kwame looked up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. You are. Yes, my son, she affirmed. Aisha is a rare treasure. She is respectful, intelligent, incredibly talented, and she possesses a quiet strength and humility that is truly remarkable. She has a heart of gold, untainted by her hardships. Women of such profound character are not easily found, Kwame. He nodded again, his gaze distant for a moment. I didn't plan for this, Mama. Just happened. When I am with her, when I see her passion, her kindness, something in me just feels right, peaceful. Mama Adwoa reached across the desk and took his hand. Then do not let fear or hesitation hold you back, my son, she urged gently. Talk to her. Tell her how you feel. Life is too short for unspoken words and missed opportunities. Kwame looked uncertain. But Mama, what if she doesn't? What if she sees me only as her boss, her benefactor? What if she doesn't feel the same way? Mama Adwoa smiled wisely. You will never know if you do not ask, Kwame. And even if, by some small chance, her heart lies elsewhere or she is not ready, at least you will have spoken your truth. You will not carry the heavy burden of what if for the rest of your days. She stood up and walked towards the door, then paused, turning back to look at him, her expression earnest and loving. A woman like Aisha, with her spirit and her grace, is a gift, she said, her voice firm yet tender. Do not let her slip away, my son. My greatest wish, now that your father is with the ancestors, is to see you happily married to a good woman, a woman who will be a true partner to you. Only then will my heart be truly at peace. Kwame sat in silence long after his mother had left, her words echoing in his mind. His heart felt full, a mixture of hope and trepidation. He knew she was right. He knew what he had to do. Weeks turned into months. Aisha was flourishing. Her designs were gaining recognition within Asante Textiles, and she was excelling in her online studies. One early morning she arrived at Kwame's home. She carried a portfolio containing urgent design modifications for a major international client, something that needed his final approval before a 9 a.m. deadline. Kwame was working from home that morning before a later flight. A house staff member led her to the morning room, where Mama Adwoa was enjoying her tea, surrounded by newspapers. Good morning, Mama Adwoa, Aisha greeted her warmly, bowing slightly. Mama Adwoa's face lit up. Aisha, my dear child, welcome. Come, sit with me for a moment. Thank you, Mama, Aisha said, clutching the portfolio. I actually need to see Mr. Asante urgently about these designs. He is in his study, he will be out shortly, Mama Adwoa said, her eyes twinkling. But before you rush off, my dear, indulge an old woman. May I speak with you just for a moment from my heart? Aisha, though anxious about the deadline, nodded. Of course, Mama. Mama Adwoa patted the seat beside her. Aisha sat, a little puzzled by the serious yet kind tone in the older woman's voice. Mama Adwoa looked at her closely, her gaze both gentle and penetrating. Aisha, my dear, she began, you have been a part of our lives, a part of Asante Textiles for a while now. And every time you are here, you bring a sense of peace, a quiet dignity. You are hardworking, respectful, and you carry yourself with such grace. These are qualities I admire deeply. Aisha smiled softly, unsure where this was leading. I will not waste your time with pleasantries, Aisha, Mama Adwoa continued, her voice becoming more direct. I want to ask you something very important, and I ask that you consider it with an open heart. Aisha sat up a little straighter, her curiosity piqued. Yes, Mama? Mama Adwoa took a slow breath, then looked directly into Aisha's eyes. My dear Aisha, would you ever consider a future with my son, Kwame? as his wife. The words hung in the air, stunning Aisha into silence. Her mind reeled. Marry Mr. Asante? Her boss? The man who had changed her life, yes, but marriage? She blinked, her cheeks flushing. Mama? She stammered, her voice barely audible. Mama Adwoa smiled gently, understanding her shock. I mean it, Aisha. I've seen the way he looks at you. It is not just the admiration of a boss for a talented employee. It is something far deeper. My son has not looked at any woman with such tenderness and respect in many, many years. And I see the quiet admiration in your eyes when you speak of him too, though perhaps you do not realize it yourself. Aisha looked down at the portfolio in her lap, her heart pounding like a talking drum. She had immense respect for Mr. Asante, for his brilliance, his kindness, his quiet strength. He was unlike any man she had ever known. But love? Marriage? It was a realm she hadn't allowed her thoughts to venture into, certainly not with him. I don't know what to say, Mama, she replied honestly, her voice quiet. This is a very big surprise. I understand, my child, Mama Adwoa said, her hand gently covering Aisha's. Take your time. There is no need for an answer now. Just think about it. A good man, a kind man like my Kwame is a rare find. And a woman of your character, Aisha, is an even rarer treasure. I believe you two would bring each other great happiness. Aisha nodded slowly, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. Okay, Mama. I will think about it. Thank you, my dear, Mama Adwoa said, patting her hand before releasing it. Now, you should probably take those designs to Kwame. Aisha stood up, still holding the portfolio, her thoughts in turmoil. As she walked towards Kwame's study, her heart was heavy, not with sadness, but with the weight of unexpected possibilities, and a tiny hesitant seed of hope that she hadn't dared to acknowledge before. Later that week, Aisha sat alone in her small design cubicle at Asante Textiles, staring at her computer screen but not really seeing it. Mama Adwoa's words echoed in her mind. Asterisk, would you consider marrying my son? Asterisk, a strange warmth spread through her chest. Kwame, Mr. Asante. He was always fair, always encouraging, and though he was the powerful CEO, he had a way of making her feel seen, her ideas valued. There was a quiet kindness about him, a depth she admired. Then a familiar wave of self-doubt washed over her. She shook her head, a sad smile touching her lips. Aisha, stop dreaming, she whispered to herself. Asterisk, a man like Mr. Asante? A billionaire from a prominent family? Why would he ever look your way, a poor orphan girl from Asafo, even if you now work for him? Asterisk, she sighed, trying to push the thoughts away and focus on her work. Just then a shadow fell over her desk. Talking to yourself is the first sign you know, a familiar deep voice said, laced with amusement. Aisha jumped, startled, and swiveled in her chair to see Kwame standing there, a file in his hand and a gentle smile on his face. She laughed, a little embarrassed. Mr. Asante, you startled me. He walked further into her cubicle. My apologies, Aisha. I didn't mean to eavesdrop on your intense deliberations. His eyes twinkled. He handed her the file. Some revisions on the Akasambo collection. Thank you, sir, she said, taking the file. But Kwame didn't leave. He lingered, leaning casually against the partition. So Aisha, he began, his tone light, it's Friday. Any exciting plans for the weekend? She looked up, surprised by the casual question. Oh, no, not really, sir. Probably just catching up on my course readings and maybe some sketching. Good, Kwame said, his smile widening slightly. In that case, perhaps you might be free to join me for dinner this evening? Nothing formal. Just a quiet meal, a chance to unwind after a long week. My treat, of course. Aisha blinked. Dinner? With Mr. Asante? Her heart did a little flip. For a moment she was speechless. Then a playful, shy smile touched her lips. She looked up at him, a new confidence sparkling in her eyes. As long as the dinner conversation doesn't revolve around textile profit margins or Kent thread counts, sir, I think I would enjoy that very much. Kwame chuckled, a rich, warm sound. You have my word, Aisha. Strictly off topic. Deal? Deal? She said, her smile matching his. As Kwame walked away, Aisha placed a hand over her rapidly beating heart. A feeling she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a very long time, if ever, bloomed within her. Hope. A vibrant, exhilarating hope. And this time she didn't try to suppress the wide, joyful smile that spread across her face. That evening, Aisha stepped into the elegant, understated restaurant with Kwame. Soft jazz music played and the lighting was intimate. Kwame had chosen a quiet corner table overlooking a beautifully lit garden. He was a perfect gentleman, pulling out her chair, his conversation easy and engaging, steering clear of work as promised. He asked her about her childhood dreams, her favorite memories, her hopes for the future beyond her career. Aisha found herself opening up to him in a way she never had with anyone before. As the waiter cleared their main course plates, Kwame's expression became more serious, though his eyes remained soft and warm as he looked at her. "Aisha," he began gently, his voice a low rumble that sent shivers down her spine. "I know this might seem sudden, and perhaps unconventional, given our working relationship, but I need to be honest with you." He paused, taking her hand across the table. Her skin tingled at his touch. "I've been doing a lot of thinking these past few months," Kwame continued, his gaze unwavering. "About my life, about what's important. And a significant part of those thoughts has been you. Aisha, I like you. More than like you. I have developed very strong feelings for you." Aisha's breath caught in her throat. Her hand trembled slightly in his. "This was really happening. I didn't want to rush you or put you in an uncomfortable position," he went on. "But I couldn't keep this to myself any longer. I want to be more than just your boss, Aisha. I want the chance to see where this connection between us could lead." Aisha looked down, her heart a symphony of emotions. It was overwhelming, yet wonderfully exhilarating. She took a deep breath, then lifted her eyes to meet his earnest gaze. A soft, radiant smile touched her lips. "Kwame," she said, using his first name for the first time outside of her thoughts, I like you too. Very much." A wide, relieved smile spread across Kwame's face. But Aisha gently raised her other hand. He leaned in, listening intently. "You saw something in me when I was invisible to the world," she said, her voice soft but filled with emotion. "You and Mama Adwoa, you gave me a chance when I had nothing but shattered dreams. You didn't just give me a job, Kwame, or an education. You gave me back my future, my dignity, my hope." She paused, her voice a little shaky. "All those things, I will cherish them and you for the rest of my life. But that's not the only reason I've come to care for you." Kwame watched her, his heart full. She continued, "I like you, Kwame Asante, for the man you are. You are kind, you are humble despite your success. You treat everyone with respect, from the boardroom to the factory floor. You carry your father's legacy with such integrity. That is what has truly touched my heart." She then took another breath. "But there's something important I need to tell you. My education, becoming a truly accomplished designer, that dream is so important to me. I want to finish my degree to establish myself professionally. It will take a couple more years. I need to focus on that to prove to myself and to you that your faith in me was not misplaced before I can think about starting a family." Kwame didn't hesitate. His grip on her hand tightened reassuringly. "Aisha," he said, his voice firm with sincerity, "I understand completely, and I support you 100%. Your dreams are important to me because they are important to you. You have worked incredibly hard. I would never, ever stand in the way of your ambitions. In fact, I want to champion them." Aisha's eyes shone with relief and gratitude. Then a playful sparkle returned. "But," she added, her voice teasing, "that doesn't mean we can't get married before I officially become Aisha Kai, renowned fashion designer, right?" Kwame burst into laughter, a joyous, uninhibited sound. "Absolutely not," he exclaimed. "Just don't expect me to help you with your final year collection. That you'll have to ace on your own." Aisha laughed too, a light, happy sound that danced in the air. "No promises, Mr. Future Husband who knows all my design secrets," she retorted, lifting her water glass. They clinked their glasses, not with expensive champagne, but with water that suddenly tasted sweeter than any wine. And in that moment, under the soft lights of the restaurant, something real, something beautiful and profound began. It wasn't just love, it was a partnership built on deep respect, mutual admiration and shared dreams. When they returned to the Asante estate later that evening, Kwame, holding Aisha's hand, walked into the living room where Mama Adwoa was reading. "Mama," Kwame said, his voice brimming with happiness, Aisha has done me the great honor of agreeing to be my wife." Mama Adwoa gasped, her book falling to her lap. She stood up so quickly that Aisha, though expecting joy, was still taken aback. "Praise be to God!" Mama Adwoa exclaimed, her eyes shining with tears of pure joy. "This is the most wonderful news I have heard in years." She enveloped Aisha in a tight, warm hug, then turned to hug her son fiercely. "My son, you have chosen wisely," she declared, beaming at Aisha. "This girl, she is pure gold, a true daughter of my heart." Aisha, though shy, smiled deeply, her heart overflowing. Mama Adwoa clapped her hands like an excited child. "We must celebrate. I will call the caterers. We must plan the engagement. The entire Kumasi will rejoice." Kwame laughed. "Mama, slow down. Tonight, let's just be happy together. We can plan the grand celebrations later." And so they did. Later that year, in a beautiful ceremony that blended cherished Ashanti traditions with modern elegance, Kwame and Aisha were married. Kijisha market buzzed with the news. Their own Aisha, the weaver girl, had married the great Kwame Asante. Many said it was like a fairy tale. But Aisha, standing beside her husband, knew it was more than a fairy tale. It was a testament to kindness, integrity, and the unexpected paths life can take. She continued her studies, graduating with top honors, and went on to become a celebrated designer, bringing Asante textiles to new international heights with her innovative yet culturally rooted designs. Together, Kwame and Aisha built a life filled with love, respect, and a shared commitment to giving back. They established a foundation to support underprivileged youth in Kumasi, especially those with artistic talents, ensuring that other dreamers like Aisha would have a chance. And so, the story of Aisha, the weaver girl of Kumasi, and Kwame Asante, the billionaire with a discerning heart, teaches us a profound truth. Kindness, sown in moments of sincerity, can reap a harvest of unimaginable blessings. True worth is not measured in riches, but in the richness of one's character. Aisha, with nothing but a good heart, changed her own destiny and touched the lives of all who knew her. Kwame, looking beyond status and wealth, found a love that was true and a partner who enriched his life beyond measure. Here's the powerful lesson from their journey. Never underestimate the impact of your actions, no matter how small they seem. A helping hand, a kind word, an act of integrity, these are the threads that weave a beautiful life. And when you remain true to yourself, even when faced with adversity, the universe has a way of opening doors you never dreamed existed. What do you think about Aisha and Kwame's story? Have you ever experienced or witnessed an act of kindness that led to something extraordinary? Please share your thoughts and your own stories in the comments below. We would absolutely love to read them. If this story inspired you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. We have another incredible story coming your way very soon, and you won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of our community. Remember, your kindness can change the world one heart at a time. See you in the next story.